Now, I noticed, Keith, during Julie's minute on screen there, you're nodding your head.
Yes, I agree with her that it's a health issue for the other drugs. Alcohol is a hard drug, so is cocaine and heroin, and we know they're damaging. But it shouldn't be a criminal issue. It should be a health issue. And she talks about the taxes and the vast quantity of taxes, but there's also the issue of social justice, the justice system, the police, the courts, the lawyers. You're going to eliminate that if you legalize it. So now we don't have that expenditure anymore. Plus we have all these millions coming in. So let's redirect that money to healthcare, to education, to social justice programs, to making our society more safe. And it's not safe with this. We've got these gangs running around shooting, and lots of people are getting shot, innocent people, and these guys know they could get shot and killed any day. Does that stop them? Of course not. They brought in mandatory minimums for this. It still hasn't stopped them. In Asia and some countries over in Europe and that, they execute you for drugs. It doesn't stop it. So yes, I do agree with her on a lot of her points there.
Is marijuana a gateway drug?
No, that's been proven long ago. We finally killed that, reefer madness, but you'll still hear it today. It's actually an exit drug. It can be an exit drug for a lot of people, exiting alcohol addiction, exiting cigarette addiction, exiting hard drugs. It allows them to land softer, right? They don't have that harsh physical problems with leaving addiction.
But I wonder, with legalization, I mean, we talk about caffeine and sugar, in my opinion, not gateway drugs, okay? Alcohol, certainly, and tobacco, definitely. These are two controlled substances readily available, retail, right? We legalize marijuana, it's readily available retail. People that maybe hadn't touched anything in their life now have this option for marijuana. That's maybe the one little area I think that the gateway argument carries a bit of weight. The way you're looking at me, I can tell you don't agree.
No, actually, like I said, it's been proven long ago. The gateway drug is still reefer madness. We've proven many times, many studies and much science and evidence, there's a lot of it over the years, that it's not a gateway drug. If you talk to Philip Lucas, he's been into this for a very long time. He's part of Tilray. He's the vice president for Tilray, the licensed producer. And he said that it's mildly, most people can give up cannabis because it's a mild situation for people, right? Most people can just walk away from it. It's not like alcohol, where it could kill you when you try getting off an alcohol.
Well, it's certainly not addictive.
Well, no,
Clearly it's not addictive, right?
No.
And there's still an element of society that seems to believe that marijuana is somehow addictive. I mean, this is more than just an opinion. Where's the lobby coming from? There's money behind this message. Where is that coming from? This anti-marijuana lobby. Who's behind this?
Well, you got people like Pamela McCall out in the coast, and it's smart approaches to marijuana. Smart is what they're calling it.
Group, yeah.
And they're just rabid prohibitionists, like Nixon, like Reagan, and they're not interested in the science, like Harper and Rona Ambrose, now the conservative interim leader. They're rabid prohibitionists. They have no interest in the science whatsoever. When you listen to Trudeau, he says the science and the evidence shows this, and that's what we're going to do. So even if you don't like it, science and evidence, we've got to look at it. We've got to be responsible adults, responsible journalists like yourself, responsible in all our lives, our activities in our lives, and understand that cannabis is not that harmful. It's much more harmful for your kids to go out there and play football and get bashed around or hockey, but we allow that.
CTE.
There you go,
Could be.
Yeah.
Okay, assuming things all do proceed the way that we were promised during, of course, the election, Trudeau's campaign led us all to believe that if elected, marijuana will be legalized. How do you see the landscape? Is it going to be distributed in Ontario and other parts of the nation through existing government-run liquor stores? In Alberta, will we see private retail? Will we see it kind of amalgamated into liquor stores, as they're already, of course, housing, selling, distributing controlled substances as it is? What do you think works?
Well, I understand where they're coming from for the Liquor Control Board, say, controlling it.
Yeah.
But selling it beside alcohol in a liquor store is not the proper place for it. Cannabis is considerably different, and the way it is, a lot of people don't have the education on what an indica can do to you, what a sativa can do to you. Say my wife would consume, she'll get anxiety because certain strains will give her a lot of anxiety and her heart's racing, and that will happen to some people. So they need to be educated properly. Well, you shouldn't start out on that. try some of this. It's not as harsh. It has more CBD than THC, so it'll counter that psychoactive effect of the THC. So, you know, if you're new, start. That's what we need, is people that are properly educated. If you look at current dispensaries in Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, they're well educated. These guys know their stuff, and their people know their stuff, and they're able to tell people. And you know, if you eat a cookie, eat half a cookie. Don't eat a whole cookie, because the effects don't come on until 45 minutes or an hour, hour and a half later, and you could be, you know, uncomfortable.
Fair enough. There's a lot more to it than just here's your bottle, enjoy your night.
Unfortunately, yes, it is a lot more.
Folks, we're going to jump to a quick break and check in with our final Rant Pack member. Stick with us.
The topic of legalized marijuana or decriminalized marijuana in Canada has been on the books for so long, like incredibly amount of time. They've had enough time to do their studies. I don't know if they have. I don't really care. I think complete and utter legalization is the way to go. If you look at the United States examples in Washington State and Colorado, great examples. I do, however, think that I myself personally work a very dangerous job. Do I want to work with somebody who's not at their full mental capacity or physical capacity? Absolutely not. Someone out there probably has or need to invent a pocket marijuana test kit, whether that be a blood stab like you do for your insulin level. There needs to be something. I know it's kind of tough because marijuana stays in your system for 30 days. I don't even smoke weed, and I think that it needs to be legalized completely. Do I think that liquor stores should have the right, or somebody else like pharmacies should have the right to distribute it? No, absolutely not. Why make somebody else make more money for a plant I can grow in my backyard? Why should a drugstore or a liquor store make money off a plant, and if I grow it in my backyard I get arrested? That's just stupid.
Okay, so Adam touched on something that's been on the tongues of a lot of people as of late. They're worried about impaired driving under the influence of marijuana. Where are we as far as the tech is concerned, testing somebody for driving while impaired?
Well, we do have saliva tests, and on the West Coast and in the U.S., they're working on breathalyzer tests as well. So that is coming. The technology is coming. There's money to be made. So like any entrepreneurs, they'll come up with a way to make it work, you know. And
yeah, of course, yeah.
That's human nature.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, that's with Adam, and he's talking about impaired for serious, you know, jobs, intense jobs. If we look at, say, a commercial on TV about a certain pharmaceutical drug, at the end of it, you'll always hear them say, or mostly hear them say,
you drowsy, sleepy, sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the same thing,
idea.
is know how it affects you, right? And certainly, like I said, I can take, my wife takes an aspirin, a non-consumer, and I smoke a joint. I'm going to get about the same effect as she does. It's not going to make me stoned. It's going to reduce my pain in that. But if I start puffing 3 and 4 and 5 joints in a row, well, then you're starting to get into impairment for myself.
A little irresponsible, yeah.
Yeah,
personal,
exactly.
Yeah, okay, I get where you're coming from. Okay, assuming pot will in fact one day be sold retail, whether it be controlled liquor stores, like you say, dispensaries, how important is it to have the proper THC level and the price point in order to combat the black market? I mean, can that even be done?
Well, we have to be careful not hyper-tax it, okay? We don't want to get high taxes, just like cigarettes. They're in the black market. Alcohol's in the black market because of high taxes and that. And so we do have to keep the taxes down. Certainly we need to tax it and regulate it. I would rather go into a store and look at a product, okay, this much THC, this much CBD. I know what I'm buying. On the black market, I have no idea. It could be sprayed. It could be, pesticides. Yeah. All that. Even in Colorado, they're finding some of these producers, they're rejecting their cannabis because of pesticides.
How are we going to buy it? Are we going to buy a little bag of marijuana? Are we going to buy marijuana cigarettes? What do you think that's going to look like? Much like Colorado, which is just what, the bags and the edibles? Well,
certainly. And there's also going to be pre-rolled because, a lot of people can't roll. They don't roll their tobacco, let's say, because they don't smoke.
Fair enough, sure.
So if you don't have experience in something, you're not going to be very good at it at first. So if I wasn't able to roll it properly, I'd buy the rolled product myself.
Is it going to happen, or was it all just hot air, as many politicians have, of course, spewed upon us throughout the history of politics? Are we going to see marijuana legalized coast to coast in Canada?
Well, I'm very optimistic. If we look at the Minister of Public Safety, Ralph Goodale, talked to CBC yesterday, and he said, obviously, cannabis prohibition, not in those exact words, but obviously cannabis prohibition has failed and failed miserably. Miserably, that was his exact words, failed and failed miserably. So they know the facts, they know the science, and unlike Harper, they're looking at it and they realize, yes, we do have to legalize it. And they also, Harper wouldn't listen to the court decisions, where we just had Allard court decision in February 24th, The government came out before the date of 30 days, they have to appeal by that time, and said, no, we're not going to appeal it. We're going to respect the judges and courts' decisions, and we're going to continue moving ahead with this.
Real quick, how long until people should get antsy as to whether or not this is truly going to happen?
Well, you know, it could be. We're going to be able to grow again, medical people, by August. They're going to allow that to happen.
It's a good first step, okay?
So that's the first step, yeah. And whether, you know, it's going to be legalized tomorrow, next week, next year, I'm still thinking, you know, we're looking at a year, maybe 2 yet before, because they got to talk to the provinces. They've got to talk to a lot of people. And exactly. Different provinces want to do different things. So it's going to be a tough one for them, but they'll get it done.
Keith, I really appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure. It was great
to
come down and see you, Kevin, and talk about cannabis, something I really enjoy talking about.
Clearly an expert.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Folks, that's all the time we've got for today. As always, you can get at us on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. Don't be a stranger. We're off next week, but we'll see you the following week. Take care.